Hello and welcome to the Relax Talk. I am your host Smokey, and joining with me as always is my co-host Spooge.
Hello.
Yeah, we just finished watching Courage the Cowardly Dog.
All the way through.
Yeah, it was a good nostalgia trip. I I definitely enjoyed revisiting it. It's definitely more of
Very.
a an adult
Mm,
show than I realized, especially the quote unquote last episode,
mm,
last skit. They really was like, all right, this is they knew that was gonna be the last skit, so they just
mm,
went all out.
mm,
Very bizarre, and it got me thinking of formulated a theory about Courage the
mm.
Cowardly Dog.
Nice.
Yeah, he's not actually a dog. He's just an adolescent that's unfortunately finally hit his schizophrenia and is just going through a huge schizophrenic delusion through the whole show.
Mm. Though I want to add that in my head canon to your theory that the only thing that was the truth was when they did get abducted. Except
I
maybe
mean, see,
maybe he hallucinated being a hero in that situation, and he actually just got like violated horribly. Like when he's a watermelon, it was actually them doing like
the
extracting
thing, the,
semen.
the the thing is, yeah, they get abducted, but it wasn't by aliens. It was probably by the like top secret government base.
Mm, you
Yeah,
mean like
because
what we're aliens actually are in real life?
yeah, no, he has just the reason why he basically kind of like fused the general and the dude that's always fighting
Oh
into the
shit!
alien. Yeah,
Yeah.
so his delusions is just getting worse. They've just gotten worse.
Hmm. In which we all know that all aliens are the government.
Yeah, that's one theory is that the
Hmm.
abductions are
Hmm.
just the government manipulating the memories into people believing they're aliens.
Definitely my top theory. Definitely my top
I
theory for even UFO sightings, for everything. I don't
I
trust those
I
fucks.
I kind of subscribe to that theory, but I think it's half and half. I think sometimes it's the government, and sometimes it is just a species that stumbled upon Earth and wants to fuck with us a while. The ones that look the people that have the stories of ones that look more alien than human, I I I subscribe to maybe were actual abductions, but the ones fucking that are like saying that they were like no the Nords and stuff kidnapped them, that's definitely
Mm.
just government officials fucking with them.
I would definitely say 100%. I think anytime that someone's been brought up into a ship and probed and those types of abductions, I feel like those are 100% that specific type is the government. I feel like I think it's different for like some of like the real crazy ones when it's like a giant like black abyssal pyramid in the sky and like no one knows what the fuck's going on and it just disappears, you know? But but there's so many things like especially of like saucer stuff, like there's so much evidence of just like us playing around with that type of technology for so long, like from when we take it from the Nazis.
Yeah, I like I said, I think it's half and half. Like some stories are
Mm,
definitely just the government, but other stories are probably true. Just from the sheer absurdity of some of the stories, it's either made up or too absurd to be made up. It's like
mm,
holy shit. Yeah, I can definitely like see that fucking with your mind because the human psyche isn't ready to see extraterrestrials no matter how bad we want to.
because one could even say someone like something like like it's one specific of the Mothman attacks, like of like them seeing the bright lights and stuff and being like hit with that. Could I mean, just like the things that you could do with 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 illusions.
I
I feel like, or even like setting up something, and I feel like the absurdity of it almost ties into like the weird type of psych war games that like
see
the
now
CIA used to
when it
test
comes
on
to
too.
cryptids, it's a lot harder for me to say because I'm one that's hopeful when it comes to cryptids. Like I know that the existence of the Mothman probably was nothing more than just like giant owls and shit.
Mm.
But man, do I want the existence of Mothman and
Well, yeah,
Sasquatch and
yeah,
shit to
and
be
I won't say
real?
like all
Like
cryptids. I'm saying like in different cases and different points. I feel like there's
yeah,
different
and
ones
I
that
was
that reek
mainly
of the
saying
government
when it
because
I was gonna try to segue when it comes to the Mothman that is one cryptid that I definitely wish would be true because it's tied to the Men in Black, and it would be crazy if he was like some uh interstellar time traveler that like not even like willing, just like a portal, just accidentally grabbed a species from
yeah,
years, accidentally and flung them into our time period, and it just so happened for some reason knew that bridge was going to collapse because probably like during its time travel, like I'm going to assume when you're traveling through time, it's you're also traveling through space as well. So he probably like while he was traveling through time before he hit the his permanent time spot, he probably saw the bridge
hmm
collapsing through the time stream or time traveling moment, and then finally like hit, and he was like, "Oh shit, there's like 4 or 5 days left. I gotta fucking warn people," and just he's too terrifying, and no one
hmm
wants to. He's probably
yeah.
like the weird screeching is probably him just like not even screeching, is probably just a weird accent of him shouting help.
The fuck? One second. What the fuck is that knock?
Oh, mysterious knocking. That's not good.
What else? But I wanted to finish there. Like I'll even say like I'm not even talking about the specific Mothman of the giving the warning or like the one that was on the bridge before. I'm talking about like the one that attacked because I feel like when they got hit, got hit with like radiation because they got that instant like radiation burn, like
Are
sunburn type of thing where their skin was peeling off. And I feel like that's like a government microwave wet ray type of thing, which I'd
are we
confirm
are
we
we
have
talking
that
about
technology.
the
The couple.
couple that was having an affair and ended up getting pink eye and shit?
Yeah, and the pink eye, I feel like
I
I agree. I agree was unrelated, but the fact that they got like a super crazy burn like that at night like that, they got like flashed with that light. That was real, and they actually
I
like
I have a theory of the crazy burns. They were two separate people in two separate relationships having an affair with their partner. I think they just got a little too extreme with their sex one night and probably like burned themselves with like wax or something and just blamed
nah,
it
it wasn't
on
those
it
types.
because I mean
It
their story, the Mothman story from that couple is it's just to cover up their affair. I hate to say it, like they're
I feel like there's a half thing there. I don't think the burns they were too extreme for even
now
like covering your body in
I will
wax.
state the
It
random
was like
lady
radiation.
there's also there's the lady that also got the crazy ass burns and the thing. Now that I can also that's actually evidence for you because she randomly
Hmm
got pink eye from the shit too and the burns as well.
Yeah.
So
And
the
I
the
definitely
government
feel
could
like
have
that's
been going around,
yeah, government spook behavior.
but when it comes to the couple, I would have to see the burns because we would have to see the burns of the couple and of the lady to match the burns for one. And if the burns were completely different, I would definitely suggest the burns on the couple is just their kinky ass sex going too far.
Hmm Gotcha.
That
Well, we,
that was my theory when it
mm,
comes to that couple though. but it's
Yeah,
hard to
yeah.
say, especially when the pink eye. It's definitely like, yeah, they're just eating
Hmm.
each other's asses. Like they're just having crazy sex, and it was going a bit too far.
Hmm.
They had to
Yeah.
explain it somehow.
Now to even say like I feel like because that stuff was like all the stuff after the Mothman stuff happened, and it was like when there's that flush of like the UFO type of nerds that came in and started interviewing. But I feel like a lot of CIA embedded themselves in that group, and like those extra freaky dudes were CIA like acting extra freaky just to like psych people out like that.
That,
I
but
think it was definitely
unfortunately,
some weird research into
there's
like mass
also an
hysteria.
element that the CIA the people that were working for the CIA were still UFO nerds, and their weird behavior was solely because they're weird ass nerds that couldn't function in a public setting.
Like the dude who drank the bleach.
Now that one the people that drank the bleach, that's hard for me to say is not an actual visit from extraterrestrials that's fucking with humans, because they straight up drunk bleach like it was nothing and walked the fuck out.
and
That
and but that
that's
dude,
you
or he was a modified human,
there's no
super
possible
soldier.
way a human could do that. Like
If
humans
he was
not
modified,
drinking no bleach.
if his stomach was modified with prosthetics, it could. That's not beyond our capabilities.
Uh,
He could have been like a weird test of some super soldier type of shit, man.
See, you're going a little bit too I don't think that I don't think we're making super soldiers and shit like that. Now, we wouldn't waste our time. What we wouldn't waste if we were making super soldiers. Unfortunately, I would hate to say it, we wouldn't waste most of our money making fucking sophisticated drones and shit. It would be more focused on the super soldier program
At that
and getting that.
time, we were insane.
I
We
mean,
were
we had.
super
Okay,
insane.
I will
We had a
say.
psychic program.
Okay, that most of the insanity that what the government was doing was solely due to the fucking neo Nazis that we shipped over from Germany. They get their power and they fucking really just continued their weird ass experiments.
And
They just
who the
they just
better
were
to be like,
regulated
let's make
more. They were just heavily
cyborgs?
regulated, so their experiments had to get batshit because they weren't allowed to just do whatever. They had
See,
a fucking
another
a lot
point
of
one
red
for
tape
me.
to get around.
Cyborg Ubermensch.
I,
Checkmate. I just leave it on
I
Cyborg Ubermensch.
I'm gonna you're gonna yeah, I'm gonna say you have me in check because I have something to get out of this. And
Mm.
like Marcus, I'm just gonna state this. Why do you want to take the fun out of it, man? Why do you want to make it so basic?
because because
Why? Why?
I am I am a nihilist. When I look at the world, I don't see the fun aspect. I see now what's actually going on. What's that likely shitty
See,
actual
unfortunately,
explanation?
my nihilism suggests the opposite. The government's not fucking competent enough.
But I feel like
Like,
that's evidence that they're incompetent because what did that even achieve? You
like
didn't see that. That was like probably a
several
failed
people in
project.
the government are Joe Biden right now. Like 30% of the government. I'm not gonna suggest a huge chunk, but 30% have the same mental capacity of Joe Biden right now.
No,
So
but let me actually give you one big difference between presidents now and presidents back then during the Cold War, height of the Cold War, is that they had a lot more balls and just like to just throw shit at the budget. Remember that dude? Like, remember him with the bat bombs? Remember the bat bombs we talked about? Yeah, I think we actually dedicated an episode. I talked about the bat bombs that they made for that because it was like literally just a dentist who was like a hobby inventor, and he like sent it to like a Roosevelt letter, like, hey, I think if you tied the bombs to bats, and you like released them in like a suburban area of your enemy, uh, they like go into the little nooks and crannies and
Yeah, but
explode all the
did they
inner parts, and
succeed?
then they
See,
tried it, and then they blowed up the
the problem
lab and
is,
never
did
did
they
it again.
succeed in the bat bombs though? Do we have bat bombs? No. The
But what
problem
I'm
is,
saying is that they
they
didn't succeed with
did,
the cyborgs either.
but I'm saying that we wouldn't succeed enough to allow people to the cyborg program wouldn't go far enough to allow three individuals to walk into a house, drink bleach like it's nothing, and walk out. That they would still like it would I would think it would they would still be like
Who's gonna believe you?
have you seen Dumb and Dumber?
Who's gonna believe you? Who's
Have
gonna
you
believe you
seen
though?
Dumb and Dumber? I would feel they would be acting like Buddy drinking the piss in the beer bottle. You know, I think it would be like that. They would
Mm.
still make a visible reaction because your taste buds are still gonna react differently, unless you're saying they modified these people's taste buds as well.
It's easy. All you gotta do is remove the taste buds.
I like how you think you make it sound so simple. Oh, it's easy.
I mean, you could easily even just do that by like, like using a relatively
With
corrosive
fucking
acid and
with
burning off
Cold
your
War
tongue.
level technology. We did think
All
about
you
it.
need is a semi-powerful acid.
Like, unfortunately, I hate to say it, that the shit that we have now was the shit they were playing with then, and our shit's not advanced.
They,
It's just
they,
newer.
they, there's so many things they keep secret. Like, there's one thing that I also confirmed that they didn't even release, I think, until recently officially, but it was talked about in the last podcast before it got released on one of the side stories by someone who listener email because I was listening with my dad, and he was like, and he literally just said when after that dude talked about it, he's like, that guy shouldn't really be talking about that stuff.
Oh shit.
And it was literally it's aircrafts that they can instantly take off and they can be at full speed, but then they can like do full on like vertical and like it'll be just like if it'll be like going like hundreds of miles per hour, and then it could instantly just be like turn exactly like right, like just on its side, like just like in a way like a fly would, like a hover fly, without actually like turning around, just like that type of, I forget what that type of propulsion is. It's like a new propulsion technology. So it's actually like that. It actually explains how some aircraft people see moves impossibly. And it's top secret stuff because it's like still prototype and still very like still learning about it, but it's like super, it was super secret new stuff.
Yeah,
And it's like we've
that
had it actually
explains.
for super long too.
That's completely that's fucking aircraft. That's completely different than like modifying a human stomach for them to be able to drink bleach. And what's the
All you need is
implications?
prosthetics.
What is the benefits of modifying a human stomach to drink bleach? Like I hate
Super
to say it.
soldiers that they get poisoned or like in torture or something, maybe they'd be resistant. There's like it's literally this type of thinking that was at that time. It's like a bunch of dudes sitting around drinking a bunch
Yeah,
of
but
whiskey, having a
with
bunch of
them,
cigars and cigarettes,
see,
being like, meh.
yeah, but the level they would get would be fucking what we got was the MK Ultra project, which was just them fucking giving a shit ton of people acid and driving them fucking insane.
But then there's so many different
See,
little shadow
that's the
pockets,
thing.
like
Like
the sex trafficking.
most of the fucking experiments and top of that ended up being MK Ultras and was just a sheer waste of government resources and time because they were completely wrong with what they were trying to prove. I don't feel that we were able to cybernetically enhance three people so they can drink bleach. That's the only thing that I'm trying to get upon. Like
I'm just
I'm not
saying.
letting these three people go.
I'm just putting
They
out.
can
I'm
be.
just putting
They
out the
gotta be.
theories. I'm just putting out my theory. Okay,
I just
you get to put out your theories.
yeah. They. My theory is that they were actually extraterrestrial.
Mm.
It's just their
I'm not saying they're
behavior
not.
and
I'm just
just
saying there's a. I'm not ruling out.
and it is weird that like they were experienced with it, but who's to say they aren't still coming to Earth? But they that the only reason why that we have this story is because the technology that basically erases the moment of them knocking on your door, going, "Hey, can I have bleach?" Kind of fucked up with the
Mm.
dude. And so he had a
Mm.
vague regulation of it, and he just couldn't let it go because it's very fucking weird for three people to go, "Hey, I need some bleach,"
Mm.
and end up like chugging it all in like three in a row, like the whole bottle, the whole fucking bottle. Them assholes drunk. That's they didn't even like compensate him or nothing. They didn't leave him nothing. They drunk his
You don't
whole
know what
bottle of
type
fucking
of
bleach
weird
and
Mangala shit
dipped.
that was going on with those dudes. That's all I'm saying. They're like, because they're like covered in wires and like weird shit too. There's like tubes sticking out.
Yeah, it's because they were aliens in fucking meat suits that looked like humans but weren't actually fucking human.
Or modified humans, prototypes of the Ubermensch project.
I just have a feeling we would have more
Ken
stories of
Krempley's
people
told me
drinking
about it.
bleach. We would, especially now in today's age, we would have more people stories of people drinking bleach if that was the case. Especially those three people. Those three people would be making a killing on the internet right now,
Maybe, unless, but
unless the
they
government killed
belong.
them.
Yeah, and that's probably what happened. Or they didn't survive the modifications. They probably maybe even only had like a lifespan of a couple months, and they got trashed in the pile of all the other failed human experiments that they probably partially would grab people from their. I mean, I feel like we semi confirmed the government run human trafficking
or
parts of.
or those people actually died, and instead of fucking with it, that dude just was like, fuck this, disposed of the bodies, and was like, well, that's done.
True.
And
You see,
made it all up.
it's all theories, but also, but yeah, the mask is definitely like the top tier episode of Courage.
Oh yeah, we're going back to courage.
Because I mean, like
Yeah, I mean,
the art in it, it's like super great. You're telling me that it reminded me of GTA San Andreas.
yeah, because there's this one episode where you gotta go burn down a house and you end up saving a girl from it, and you end up like dating her, kind of. So it's like
Hmm.
a weird, like, I don't know why I made the connection like that, but it just,
I didn't know if it was like the surroundings of the grittiness too.
yeah, and that as well. And it also had a kind of like the theme song to San Andreas. It kind of had like the opening melody to it.
Hmm.
In it, it sounded
Yeah.
vaguely like that, and
Oh yeah, that's one thing I got to give to Courage. All the way through. Even like when it was just kind of like weird. There's never a time when I didn't wasn't enjoying the soundtrack.
oh yeah, the music and the sound effects, everything was spot on. The mixing with of this was done very well of Courage.
Mm, super great. What do you how what do you think about the switch of Eustace? I forget the reason. I forget if the actor actually, if he just moved on to different roles, if he actually died.
I think he
Honestly,
might have passed away. Uh, I
I
feel
thought he
that
did. I feel like this last season, like he kind of solidified himself.
yeah, I think they also did a nice healthy blend of new Eustace and archive Eustace to once I
Oh
got
yeah.
used to new Eustace,
Hmm.
I noticed it much a lot lesser
Yeah,
than.
no, I do like that we get kind of like it's not it doesn't feel disrespectful too. It's just like they already kind of set up that they have all that archive. It's kind of the meme of the
Ye-
show.
yeah, they definitely. It's good. I love that they kept the screams and everything the original. It just seems like it's also kind of paying homage to the original voice actor as well. It's not like outright doing away with his work, because when it comes to voice acting, there are certain things you can reuse over and over again. You
Hmm.
know,
Yeah.
especially like certain catchphrases and stuff. That's completely
Hmm.
fine.
It's always just kind of like it always seems like there's a context of like what when it's something. And it always depends on how well it works. It's always kind of hard replacing someone because I know like one example of like I think of a way that they still did right, even though there's some issues we'll have to go into when we actually cover that show, Samurai Jack. When because Mako, the voice of Aku, of course, passed away before they did the
Didn't
last
his
season.
understudy
Yeah,
take
and
up
that's
the
like
role?
that's why it was like a good thing too, is because like his understudy took over. That's like a respectable thing, like someone who actually trained under him,
Yeah.
and actually had already taken over a couple of times in the past when Mako was a busy actor.
He was
he
married. He didn't he voice Splinter.
I believe in one thing, yeah, he did. I know he's in his one of his big roles is the he's the like wizard in Conan Barbarian. He's that
Okay,
yeah, the kind of Mongolian guy.
nice.
um, but uh, but yeah, since he did a lot of Broadway too, so he was real like busy, like doing stage stuff too. So it was like I didn't even know that like that guy had done things in the past, and he does it so well that like you wouldn't know. I feel like I could kind of tell now and then in the newest that in that last season, just because it was like so much of them.
Yeah,
But
and I
he,
don't. I wouldn't expect him to be able to, especially since your voice kind of degrades over time. So
same with
I don't
Eustace.
expect him to be able
Mhm.
to stand the par
Yeah,
twenty
because
four
his
seven.
voice with Aku, it's like his voice isn't naturally like that, and Mako's is,
Yeah.
like that's how Mako like he doesn't sound exactly like Aku, but he has that natural rough, old rough voice. And the voice actor doesn't. He's putting that on. He's having to actually like contort his vocal cords, which that's when it gets like pretty rough to do.
Yeah, yeah, especially when you have to do that for like hours on end during a
Mhm.
recording session.
Like going hours and hours.
I could only
Like at the back of your
imagine,
throat.
like, because I can't even attempt that voice because my throat is would get too scratchy.
I could do it a little bit better if I wasn't like chain smoking
I
right
have
now.
to stick to baritone voices and shit like that.
I accept it's probably what I'll sound like someday.
Probably. Which I wouldn't be surprised if I end up having a very deep voice one day.
I'm just gonna be like,
Because I definitely more becoming more of a baritone the more I
like
use my
where?
voice.
Where my cigarettes
Oh
at?
shit.
But yeah, also, let's go into a little bit because I mean it's hard to talk too much about the masculine. I mean, it broke boundaries, though it was still kind of sad because it
It
was like at the
it
time where they had to say best friends, but it was very so on the nose that just like I know
yeah,
I
yeah,
see what you're
definitely
saying.
definitely the mask was just it's the it's not the penultimate episode, of course, but it's definitely the pinnacle of the series. You definitely
Mm,
should if you're watching Courage, definitely save that one for the last episode.
Mm,
Just for the sheer fact that it's not really meant for kids. Like that episode is just
mm.
so like it. It's hard to explain. Like the subject matter is so mature, and the way they
I feel like
tackle it.
on the older side of kids, I feel like could appreciate that. I actually think that it handles it so well and kind of like
Yeah, yeah.
so
Well,
subtly and balanced that it's like it's kind of like I wouldn't be uncomfortable, you know.
I will say when I first saw this episode and I was like 8 or 9, it made me uncomfortable. But that's because I I didn't grow up in the environment, but I had friends that I would visit that had that kind of environment around them, and it was like just
Mm,
it really hit home when I first saw that video. It was like, holy
yeah.
shit, they're actually trying to connect with the audience instead of just
See, that's kind of an interesting subject, because I feel like that's always something that's kind of like a weird balance of like I kind of like when kid shows like that challenge kids like that, kind of like take them out of their comfort zone a little bit, but there is like a boundary of like, like of like triggering, you know.
I I feel if I was a bit younger when I first saw The Mask, it would
Mm,
have been too much. Definitely, I was just the right age. It's definitely not for 6 and below. 7
mm,
maybe, but the subject matter, especially since if kids can catch on to it,
mm,
it will especially if they feel that that's the environment that they're growing up in. I would
mm.
hate for it to normalize the environment for them, because that is a way that it could be. It's like, oh, okay, that this is just how things are. People can get out, but you just got to get lucky.
Mm. Though
When
you never know, because it always inspires people and people interpret things differently. It could always be like, hey,
yeah,
maybe
that I
they
was
actually look in introspectively and kind of get the courage when it's like maybe they hit 16 and they kind of got a job and got some money saved and they could get out of that situation or something. I don't know.
yeah,
You
it
can
it can
pull
work
anything.
both ways. Like
Hmm.
it's just I have a feeling that it would be more harmful if too young than good because it's more impressionable,
Mm.
and you don't want them to. I feel it would normalize the situation more than it would give them an awakening. I feel they have to have a bit more sense of the world for them to get the lesson.
Yeah, I gotcha. That's why I'd say like more on 10 plus side, but who would probably like actually kind of get something out of this, especially like kind of 11, 12.
I mean, to fully understand what's going on, yeah, but to learn a lesson from it, you definitely got to be 7, 8, around then.
Mm,
You just
yeah,
got to
yeah,
be careful because the lesson you learn might not be the lesson they're trying to teach.
true.
It all depends on their knowledge of the world, but
Hmm.
more on just courage. Let's try to get off the mask and just courage as a whole is a I would say is a very groundbreaking show for its
Mm,
time.
definitely.
Like it definitely made waves that people generally wouldn't have made. Think I think Gravity Falls is the only thing close that I could say is a mystery horror cartoon like
Yeah,
this.
it's a different type. Yeah, and this one just works episodically so well, and it can reference back to itself without it being like without completely knowing on. I mean, like there's only really one episode in this that where you kind of like needed to watch other episodes to really get the reference. I mean, other than maybe the chicken one,
Yeah,
is the ball of doom, you know,
the Ball of
ball of revenge.
Revenge
Yeah.
and the Three-Headed Chicken. Those two
Hmm.
are the only ones that require multiple episodes to understand.
Hmm. Yeah.
But other than
But
that, It
Mm.
it tackles almost every story that it does
Compared to
very
Gravity
well.
Falls, I'd say this compared to Gravity Falls. I mean, I haven't watched Gravity Falls, and I'm not saying this is like better or anything, but I say like
Well,
compared to
Gravity.
Gravity
See,
Falls,
see the
this is
problem with
more
Gravity Falls.
underappreciated.
Gravity Falls wasn't episodic whatsoever. That
Yeah,
was
yeah, yeah.
more of
No,
a horror
yeah, that's not what I
mystery.
was going into. I was just saying that I feel like Courage is more underappreciated compared to Gravity Falls. I see a lot more praise for and references back to Gravity Falls, and I know it's more relevant, but
That
I
yeah,
don't see as much love anymore, like people really talking about as much of Courage.
and definitely people need to talk more about Courage the Cowardly Dog. This deserves more. I feel the only love Courage has gotten was that awful. Well, we haven't watched it yet, but the fucking Scooby Doo thing
That's what
was.
scares me because that means his IP is probably cheap, so they're like not even, they weren't even really planning on bringing him back or like do anything with him. So he's just kind of probably living in IP limbo.
Which is unfortunate because Courage the Cowardly Dog is something, especially if we get like, I don't want to say allow adults, new Adult Swim, but if some old Adult Swim people were able to do something with Courage on a streaming service or something, I have a
Mm-hmm.
feeling it would be a really great fucking show. Keep it episodic though. You got to keep the episodic formula of and got to keep the skits 15 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
It's very the mask is pretty much the only one and it's justifiably like it's such a good two-parter. The other
Mm-hmm.
two-parters don't really justify being a whole episode really
Mm-hmm.
cuz I think there's two or three more two-part episodes. I think the Rumpelkiltskin
Yeah, yeah.
was a two-parter,
Mm-hmm.
which that just it just wasn't warranted, you know. That
Oh
definitely
yeah,
could have been a
there's
15
definitely
minute
some
skit.
unwarranted episodes like the dolphin episodes, probably the weakest one. And I did, but even like the weakest ones, I wasn't ever like, ah, geez, just kind of like, huh, that's a strange direction. Or like the
Yeah,
beaver one.
they they always I always felt they were always going in experimental directions. They always
Hmm.
wanted to push the boundaries of cliches and stuff.
I wouldn't be surprised because I remember hearing about this with another show, and I wish I need to actually look back and try to find the show that this happened. But they, oh, I think it's Billy and Mandy that this happened to a lot. Cartoon Network would always subtly, especially like when it's not the fall, like fall time, would always try to nudge shows that were spooky to like go away a little bit from the spookiness and try to like, oh, why don't you do like a more school oriented episode or like, like stuff like that. So I wouldn't be surprised like a lot of those ones are just like, hey, maybe cool it on the monsters for a little bit because that was still a time when like censorship was weird about that type of stuff for some reason.
Yeah, I definitely see that, but I hate to say it, Courage. I don't think censorship really hampered Courage was under control of censorship that bad.
See, I'm not gonna say it not
They might have
hampering.
had I'm not going to say they didn't have an executive going, over their shoulder, pitching ideas and stuff, but I have a feeling that if an idea was pitched to them by Cartoon Network that they would definitely go with it, but definitely that's why I have a feeling the experimental stuff is what they did to try to put the twist on it and make what was requested better.
Mhm.
But I would have to we would have to know what episodes were actually like requested and stuff by Cartoon Network to be made.
Or it could be, yeah, at the very least, I feel like it's just sometimes just because it does censorship doesn't hamper it. It may just because the company that was fighting the censorship just like fought it better and had better tactics when getting it
That as
out.
well. Yeah, they probably hid the like we were able to get a dumbass dog joke,
Mm, mm,
through. So I have a feeling that either the censorships just wasn't as harsh on Courage because they were upfront about the show and
Mm,
was like, this is a horror cartoon show, so shit's gonna get weird every so often.
mm,
And I'm going to assume that's why some episodes also didn't focus on horror, was so the censors wouldn't freak out all the time and be like, oh,
mm,
okay, this is just a calming episode about a
mm.
fucking squid, you know? And it turns out that it's like the most heart wrenching episode of the whole series.
Yeah. Which is great. That's such a great episode too. I like a lot of those ones, and a lot of those. I felt like because we ended it, yeah, a little differently because I know we ended it with episode 10 and episode 6, and with episode 10 with the. I was so glad to see them get abducted by an old school UFO, and then like some old school like hybridization, like pulling that side of stuff. It's just like the root of the show, being out
Yeah,
in the nowhere, you know.
definitely. I love seeing them return back to the form of just wacky zaniness.
Mhm.
For the simple fact of being wacky and zany.
Yeah, because that episode felt like such a season one episode.
Not only that, but that episode's just such a great callback to the whole series and as a
Mhm.
whole, especially because of the skit. You know, it's attached to Revenge, Ball of Revenge as well. So I have a
Yeah.
feeling that they did that on purpose. Like they wanted
Mhm.
the whole, episode as a whole to feel like an homage to the series.
Was it the last episode that goes into Courage's past?
Yes, the episode did kind of go. That's the episode. Yeah, yeah, it was. It was also the
Okay.
episode that has the teacher episode that kind of confirmed, like, had me thinking because of the way he drew the six that he was
Mhm.
just a schizophrenic kid, adolescent schizophrenic.
Mhm. Oh
Because he
yeah.
does draw a six, but he does it in an abstract way that a normal human wouldn't be able to make sense of. But as
And
soon
it's
as
obvious that
he,
no one sees
yeah,
that lady too.
yeah, no one sees the lady.
But that's just a theory of
I,
uh,
I wasn't gonna say it.
television theory.
I wasn't gonna say the thing.
Thanks
I know I
for
set it up,
squelching.
but I wasn't gonna say it.
Thanks for squelching.
I know the
See,
thing. It's not because it's copyrighted
I
or
see.
anything.
Mm,
Everybody knows. Everybody knows the thing.
mm,
But we kind of have to segue away from courage a little bit.
okay. What do you want to segue into?
Oh, someone's back on YouTube.
Who's back on YouTube?
Uh, eat that pussy.
EDP again?
EDP 44 fucking 5 is goddamn back on fucking YouTube, dude.
Hide your kids and hide your cupcakes.
The fucking cupcake. We shouldn't even call him EDP anymore. People should make fun of him and call him EDC. Eat the cupcake.
Eat the cupcake, eat the children.
EDC would is just a far better name.
Mm. All right, EDC. I haven't been following it. It did has Charlie covered it? It's been a little bit since I've
No. Review Tech USA and another Ordinary Gamers, I believe, is the channel. They've covered it so far, and it was just the general basis of he's created a YouTube channel and he's uploading again, but and he's already meet the parameters for monetization, but we shouldn't have to worry too hard about that. He shouldn't be getting monetized again because once you're kicked out, that's pretty much it. He's just
I mean,
somehow
his channel's
avoiding.
gonna be deleted again eventually.
Yeah, because he's been banned off the platform.
Mm. It
But
just
it's definitely
YouTube's
something
gears
that
takes
needs
a
to be
long
put out
time.
there that
Yeah.
there's a dangerous person still on fucking YouTube. And I also have to point out that the sting operation was never official,
Mm-hmm.
unfortunately. That is why no charges and stuff has been brought out against EDC, is because it
Mm-hmm.
was just a bunch of YouTubers doing it, and unfortunately,
Entrapment.
because of the way they did it, the YouTube video and all the evidence they gathered is immiscible in court. They can't be used in court, so the cops are pretty much dead in the water when it comes to. It's another thing of YouTubers have to be careful with what they're doing.
Because even To Catch a Predator had this issue, didn't they?
They Catch the Predator didn't have that issue. They had the issue of the cops started the when it comes to this. I have to explain entrapment a little bit. Entrapment is when a cop forces you to do a crime. All right, when
Mm-hmm.
a cop walks up, is sitting on a bench, and you pass by, and he goes, "Hey, you want to buy some drugs?" That's not entrapment. If you that's him opening the door to the crime.
Mm-hmm.
If you go, "No, I'm good," and walk away, and he doesn't, yeah, that's fine. If he goes, "Come on, man, buy these drugs. You know you want to buy these drugs. Come on, buy these drugs. Buy these drugs, man." If the cop keeps on and basically forces your hand, that's when it's entrapment. And that's what ended up happening on Catch the Predator, is they got a little too forceful with the people to the point where they were basically blackmailing them to coming.
Mm-hmm.
And it wouldn't have been a problem if Catch the Predator was doing that themselves, but they got law enforcement people involved, and
Mm-hmm.
that's why they had to cancel that show.
Mm-hmm.
Is because they unfortunately started entrapping people, which is unfortunately not okay, even though you are catching a predator. You can't force, you can't basically harass a predator until they actually visit your house.
Mm-hmm.
That
Yeah.
And that's what ended up happening. It's sometimes they they wouldn't leave the guy alone. Like the guy would
Mm-hmm.
try to, and it's just like, no, dude. Like it's obvious. The guy was like, I shouldn't be doing this, but that you kept messaging him and kept going, oh, it's fine, it's gonna be okay. I'm not. You're not gonna get caught. It's like that. That's when it becomes entrapment.
Which is kind of funny. It's you could always just set up a different sting with those dudes because there's so many people that came back like a second
Yeah.
time.
Oh my god, there's so many fucking people, and
All you got to do is be patient.
I hate how the people that come back still have the same exact reaction of surprise, like, what? No
Oh damn.
way. Damn. Can I, like, not go to jail?
Just sits down, just like, all right, I'm just gonna finish this pizza. Cracks open the cookies.
Oh, dude,
Cracks
the dude
open
that
the
ate the
cupcakes.
that Catch the Predator episode. I actually watched that when it lied there. That one I remember vividly. Him fucking eating that goddamn pizza in front of Chris Hansen.
Which I'm not giving that guy anything, but I'll just say like in that situation, you gotta finish the pizza.
Hey, it was gonna be his last pizza for a while, so
Unfortunately, not long enough
yeah. I think he
with our
only got like
system,
16 months and 4 years probation, or some
which is
shit
one
like
of
that.
my big issues with this country. We really, that's one thing that's one of the very few things I'll say that we don't sentence enough. We don't sentence harder.
Apparently, it's because those people can reform better and easier than.
Hmm.
But the problem with that
Just
is they
There's
never
so many.
reform. They always
It
go back and go
what
online and
what the real problem is who runs the country is there's a lot of them that are those types of people.
we do have to establish they're not even that way by choice. They just are keeping the status quo.
Hmm.
So
And
they're
it's
the
and some
people
people
before
just don't
them
see
did
that.
it, so they have to do it, and they're gonna force the people after them to do it.
And also look at the attitude of just of past history of just kind of how like it used to just kind of be like, oh, that it was like I remember my mom was telling me how it was just like, oh yeah, you just sometimes would have like the creepy neighborhood pedophile and like you knew
Oh
just like
man,
not to be over there and it's just like he'd be oh there's old pedo guy just sitting on his favorite part in the park so you can see
un-
all the girls' skirts when they go up on the swings.
unfortunately, unfortunately, if you have uh, any family from Alabama, there's always going to be the designated rape victim of that family that just everybody from that family decided to molest for some reason.
Yeah, it's a
Like it,
very like weird like
the culture behind the American culture is very toxic.
that's what I'll say is it's a remnant of that, and it's just like it takes so long for like even if like a majority of people say like this is the way we want to go, it just the slow moving gears of bureaucracy and the crooks that run this, and try to just squeeze and scam as much out of the system as they can as they pretend to serve us as we pay them money as they and while they scam money too out of us. Is just that nothing gets done because of that. There's no actual, and I mean, society just kind of just stews and stagnates, and the water the water runs still.
The water runs is more than running still. It's developing sea urchins and toxic
Hmm.
life that we can't drink because it's
Hmm.
poisonous to us.
That's what I'll even
And
say of like some.
unfortunately,
Mm,
it the American culture has become so toxic that good movements can't last long, or the movements themselves will end up just becoming sheer toxic
mm,
waste.
I was
Like
just about to get into that. Yeah, just the fact that like even people totally in the right of like actual victims and everything too. It's like you develop a hive mind type of like toxic victimhood type of thing, and you miss the point of something too. You just kind of get caught up in your own type of culture or something, and it's designed through the news and like how our social medias work. It's like that's why it's another government conspiracy with me. That it's like that's why no good movement can go like it's a combination of because of our human nature, of course, and the fact of just like our situation that like the chaos of a lot of people of like the kind of chaos light that Americans are in just kind of leads to of like not caring about what's going on around you and just trying to get by and focusing on yourself, you know. And it's
y-
like you want to be part of a movement and then you get caught up in the anger and the pitchfork part of it, but then it's like, well, I got to go to work tomorrow, so I can't. And then you forget about it. So that nothing really gets done in beyond, screaming
screaming and yelling and fighting and
and attacking
unfortunately
each other
it's
when we should be attacking the
the
ruling
government.
class.
Yeah, I know the government is keeping us distracted and keeping us fighting each other, but
Hmm.
you know that what else are they going to do? I mean, they have to keep us occupied because if they know what will happen. The America was literally founded by the American people overthrowing the fucking government, so they know what the American people will do. They're just desperately trying to not get overthrown, which I kind of understand. You know, most of them people are legacy. You know, they have a last name. They were born into this, and they were told that when they were older, that they were going to be in charge, that they were going to have the power, and that was going to be their responsibility, and that this is how it's done. And unfortunately, there's some people from the outside world that get inside and make waves, but there's always those legacy names that are there. That's always going to be American royalty. That's always there. That always wants money, and that's all they want.
Yep, the corporate oligarchy.
Your Kennedys, your Clintons, your Bushes,
Mm-hmm.
your Trumps, your fucking Trumps. Like he's a goddamn legacy. Like not many. I
Mm-hmm.
hate that people don't fucking see that. Like he donated to the goddamn Clintons. He's as
Mm-hmm.
legacy as the Trump family as legacy as they get in America.
Mm-hmm.
Like they
And not to
literally
mention,
the Clintons, I would not be surprised if there was some off like shore company that the Clintons own like
oh, for
55%
sure.
of that donated to Trump and they just don't want the publicity so they're keeping it under the company name instead of saying, "Hey Trump, we're going to give you money." Like I would
Mm-hmm.
not be surprised if that was the case.
Oh yeah, definitely. And just not to mention just all their puppeteers that they who flood them with all the money, like Boeing, the people who make all the airplanes and fucking shit, drones and shit, missiles. Um, like Goldman Sachs, those bank companies that have been basically not only uh not only let out of jail for like the bank crimes that they've done with but rewarded, like let back in their companies and rewarded with giant bonuses because presidents give them a presidential pardon. I think one of them was actually Obama that did that. I'll have to look back up, but I'm pretty sure that he
Yeah.
wagged his street at like I forget which exact bank that had that huge fraud thing, and oh no, with Obama it was with Wall Street. He pardoned Wall Street, like a lot of the people that were part of that crash. That's what
Oh,
he did.
I'm not surprised. They probably gave him a huge payout.
Mm.
How many books did he have to sell? They had to buy his book.
Man,
All presidents do that though. All presidents write a book. All presidents make everybody fucking buy it that's in the fucking government.
I mean they're the face. They're
And
the
that's
face.
the thing that I hate. I fucking hate that everybody blames the goddamn president. And this is my only argument that shuts down everybody. How can he do anything? How is he responsible? How is he the fall guy with 1/3 government power?
Mm,
How are you supposed to do anything when you have 2/3 that you have to fight against constantly? Yet
yeah.
they're never on your side. Those 2/3 want their own goddamn money, and those 2/3 want the power of the government as much as possible. They want to
Hmm.
be the ones in charge with the most power, so they're gonna keep the president as shackled as fucking possible.
Yeah,
That's why I
and
can't
I'll
fucking
say,
stand when people are like, well, Trump fucking did executive orders and put the kibosh on all that. It's like, no, those executive orders benefited the other 2/3, so they allowed it to happen. If the 2/3 wanted the fucking executive orders not to pass, they would write up a bill and they would have the bill go to him. Trump would veto the bill and they would unturn the fucking veto, and there you go. The bill would be passed. Done. Like that, it would
yeah, but
been.
there's total evidence that Trump totally like did a lot of executive orders purely for his pocket,
Yeah, I
like
mean,
especially a lot of the
not just for his
environmentalist
pocket, but
ones.
for everybody in government. He started fucking throwing around shares of his companies and shit to people that he had to keep hush hush or to have their vote. You know he did.
Oh yeah, I mean I know for a fact. I mean he through everyone could see with the fact that he through one of his hotels when he had the Saudis come over for their the diplomatic stuff before we gave them like one of the sweetest weapon deals ever. Like through the hotel, they like it was like millions and millions of dollars, like almost like $1 billion, like worth of money. It was like hundreds of millions of dollars that they like put through that. and paid Trump directly to this hotel, which he's not a part of. It's, technically he's not the owner of
Yeah,
the hotel anymore.
but he's still got a pie in it. He's still got his fucking knife in the pie.
But no, I'm not going to say that they're totally. I'm not going to go as far to say that they're not totally to blame. I mean, they're all part of the scheme. They're all part of. They're the face of the like many-headed hydra that is our system.
I'm just trying to have people learn that the president is not in charge. He's not
I'm just
Heisenberg.
defending my point
The
because I feel
the
called out.
no, I wasn't trying to call you out at all. I was just trying to say the fucking president isn't fucking Heisenberg. He can't make waves to the point where people
Yeah.
are scared shitless of him. No,
Mm,
dude, like the president can be taken out very fucking easily. Like if they want to, they can overthrow the president any fucking day they want to. Whoever is president is because they want that person to be president. It's
mm,
just simple fact. Like there's no such thing as rigged elections because it's not rigged, it's planned.
yeah,
They've
I agree
planned
there.
the elections.
Yeah. And sometimes it actually doesn't go exactly to plan. I think
Yeah,
I
because stupid ass Hillary Clinton has to go out and go, it's my turn on live
mm,
television. So they have to fucking subvert the plan a little bit so the plan doesn't look too goddamn obvious.
abort.
Yeah.
Goddamn.
You got anything else?
Fuck this country.
Fuck this country. Yeah. Alright, so, even
And
though it's
watch
like,
Courage.
yeah, go watch Courage. And unfortunately, this is, you know what sucks? This is
What?
pretty much like the least corrupt country that you can be in.
I would say yeah, but like compared to there's like also so many other ones that aren't that we pretend that we're better than.
I guess like Sweden, maybe, in
I'd say
Australia. But
I'd say
even then,
most.
I feel there's corruption there because they
Oh, there's
heavily.
definitely corruption, but I feel like there's a. I don't think they
It's not on the
leave their
level of
people
America,
to
no.
die as
It's not
much as
on.
we do.
It's not on the level of America, no. And the citizens of those countries aren't as divided as we are.
And I'm only comparing it because America pretends it's a first world country. And those are the countries that I'm comparing it to, the quote unquote first world countries that we pretend we are, and that we actually literally bribe, uh, like, I'm trying to remember what they're called, like the associations actually like kind of like look at countries and like give them the ratings of like their stuff, like to even just to get the D in our what is it for our buildings and stuff and like the maintenance on our cities and stuff like to get that D that's like a lot of like paying under the table
Oh well,
to
that's
maintain our made up status that's already stupid.
yeah. Well, we shouldn't have the status we have because we're gonna have to get into this when we continue our true crime series, but that we're the only country that has a mass shooting problem. And
Yeah,
I have decided that we are actually because even though there's a lot of them, we are probably gonna when we start doing true crime episodes again. That's probably gonna be a thing. Is we're gonna cover all the mass shootings just because I want to. There's an evolution to them because mass shootings, of course, started as a racial thing, and it slowly has morphed into more of a bully of a school thing, you know?
ooh,
And
I actually been wanting to go into this because there's we could start from the very beginning.
yeah, it's in 1920. This consider is when the first considered mass shooting in the United States is. Yeah, we'll start at the very beginning and we'll
Though
make our way.
there are also a couple of mentions that are pretty good honorable mentions that are in the 1800s.
I'm going to assume that there's a reason, or we'll have to look into it, but there's probably a reason those instances aren't classified as mass shootings.
I know there was one with and it was with what's funny is that all the ones in the 1800s I believe involve a school teacher getting revenge
Holy
on
shit.
students.
Yeah,
I
we'll
remember
definitely have
like
to get
four of
into
them
the
were.
that. That's definitely going to be one of the subjects we talk about heavily because the
Mhm.
evolution of it is going to be a
Yeah.
very interesting thing to watch.
But just in my thought, the only reason that we have to mention them on there is because they involve schools.
Yeah, and not only that, but we're also going to see just how America just ramps up and basically is now to where it's an average to have at least 6 shootings a year now.
Because it used to be, I mean, yeah, because I mean, gun violence was horrible in Australia too, but I mean, there's like they basically had their Wild West outlaw age, and then they literally banned all guns and actually like went around and took them and shit, and then now
Well,
it's not a.
unfortunately, when it comes, we can't ban guns and then go around and try to. The
I
government
don't
can't.
agree with that either. I'm just saying
No,
that's what
I'm
they
not.
did.
Even if the government did, that would be a very the American population would.
Yeah, Australia, at least at the time, wasn't as populated and didn't have as many guns.
Yeah, see, that's the problem. Like the numbers, that's the problem. Australia just didn't have the numbers to back themselves up. But if the government, oh, dude, not only that, they would have half of the people that's already on their side come to our side just for the simple fact they support us instead of the
Hmm.
actual government themselves. So
Hmm.
it would just be a mess.
Yeah, I feel like it'd be like, oh man, it's they're going too far, but I understand why as I'm
But
burying
I
my
do
guns.
I do say we should probably crack down on people stockpiling them.
Mm.
Anybody that has more than 3 AK-47s, unless you have 15 family members living with you and y'all
Mm.
all want your own AK-47, there's no fucking reason for a one individual to have 15 AK-47s or AR-15s.
I
Dude,
mean, I don't even really. I mean, what does the exact numbers do? Because I feel like you could, if you just had one rifle and a bunch of magazines, wouldn't that equal just
that would
having a bunch
this
of guns? I mean, only one person can use one gun at a time. I don't know. I feel like it's fine if you're like rich and you collect, you know? I feel
I
like you're allowed to collect
Yeah, well,
guns. I don't think the
that's the
number
thing.
of them is
See,
a problem. I think it's the
collecting
people who
is
have
different
them and
than
the red flags
stockpiling.
they have.
Stockpiling is not only do you have 15 guns, but you have enough ammunition to supply 15 people. It's obscenely amounts. Yeah, I understand. Like, it's kind of hard to say, oh, well, we're gonna have to, like, govern magazines and stuff. It's kind of hard to do that, but to quantify that amount because you could have different magazines for different kind of guns, bullets and stuff.
Well, yeah, and that's what Canada does. Is all their rifles they don't go beyond I think like five, 4 or 5,
Yeah,
and like all
that's what I'm
their.
saying. Like, you just can't have like per I guess per rifle you have like I don't think you should have more than 3 magazines. Why do you need
Prob
especially with a AK a standard stock. Let's just use that because I keep bringing it the fuck up because it's the stock gun that everybody in the movies and shit use. That the AK-47 you don't need more than 3. That's 90 bullets with the stock 30 round clip.
Mhm.
You really don't need 90 bullets, but I guess 3 would be 90 bullets. Three magazines would be enough. I mean, what are you shooting with an AK? That's another thing. Like, you're not hunting with assault rifles, dude. Come on.
See, it's hard to say
You
because
you're not defending
there's this
yourself with an assault
libertarian
rifle
part.
either. That's
There's
another
this.
thing I want to bring up. You're not defending. Get out of here. It's for defense. Why get a
Okay,
shotgun?
okay,
Get a
okay.
pistol.
But what if? what if I want to have my little missile silo and it's my doomsday prep thing, and I want to have my weathered ammo just in case shit hits the fan? When the government breaks down and there's no government to even enforce these laws anymore, and I'm all by myself, what if I want to stockpile weapons and ammo in my, as a doomsday prep thing? There's a lot of people that do that, and they don't hurt anybody.
Then you should be well equipped to craft that shit on your own, and you shouldn't even give a fuck what the government says because you make your own magazines and your own guns and your own ammunition, and they don't even aware of it because it's not registered or anything. So you don't give a fuck.
I mean,
Let's be honest. Like if somebody in America wants a fucking gun, the government's not gonna, no background check. If I wanted a gun, if I truly wanted a gun, I already know that it costs $250, and I will have a gun at my house in like 3 hours. It's simple.
yeah.
I mean, it
Go
as
to a gun show, have it in a couple minutes.
yeah. I mean, that's what I was saying.
And
Like you find
want to
gun
skip the background
you,
check? Meet a shady
you
guy outside the gun
that
show
that's
who
what I
just
was
bought a bunch of guns and is
see
selling them.
See, that's what you just find a gun show enthusiast on the internet. That'll take about
Mm.
an hour, maybe. You get his contact information. He'll be a paranoid individual, so this might
He'll
take
be
a little
jailbird.
longer. But you
Mm.
get the contact information. He's gonna want the cash. There you
Yeah,
go.
don't make any
3
sudden
hours.
movements. He might throw some pocket sand at you.
Yeah, but it's
That's who I just imagined in this scenario. Is like who we're buying guns from. It's from Dale.
yeah, Dale Gribble. Yes, Rusty Shackleford.
As Rusty Shackleford.
Yes. Oh god, I fucking love that show. That's probably
It's
gonna
great.
be. We're probably gonna have to set up an Adult Swim block around
With
King
King
of
of
the
the
Hill.
Hill. Oh hell yeah.
Yeah, I want to watch that show. Me and my dad watched it. It was a good show.
It is. It's consistent. There's a lot I have to say about that show too. But we've dragged on.
Yeah,
Do
we've
the
dragged on.
outro while I think of a sign off.
All right. Well, if you thank you so much for listening this long. If you have been by now, and please give us some feedback. We need some comments. Damn it. That's
How do you? Yeah, you know
we
what?
need feedback.
This is my sign off. Put down below feedback. Or what do you think of this kind of chaotic thing when we kind of talk about a show and then kind of diverge into this?
Just give us feedback on just the whole channel in general. That's what I want. I
And
just
what's
want
your
fucking
favorite episode of
feedback.
Courage? What's your favorite episode of Courage?
Yeah.
Put a PS. Put PS on the end of your comment.
And
Also,
then
unless you didn't watch Courage.
all right, and now of course, like the video or comment dislike on it, share it around, and subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. This will be a bye bye.
Bye bye.